sono Alfonso Pirola, in sistematica seguo i cloud service provider e i programmi a consumo. A nome di Sistematica vi do il benvenuto. Oggi in collaborazione con VMware andremo a parlare della soluzione per gli sviluppatori, quella diciamo riferita ai container di Kubernetes di VMware, ossia VMware Tanzu. Il webinar verrà registrato, quindi poi nei prossimi giorni riceverete la registrazione con la solita, diciamo, e come da prassi, diciamo, email di feedback con il PowerPoint o il PPT, insomma il PDF e la registrazione. Per le domande potete utilizzare il Q&A, ma direi di non rubare altro tempo, diciamo, a Cristina Wang, Cloud Providers e Specialist, e Andrea Sierra, VMware Cloud Associate Solution Architect, che sono qui con noi proprio per presentarci anche le novità che avverranno in questi mesi. Ok, let's go, let's start.
Ottimo, grazie mille Alfonso per l'introduzione. Buongiorno a tutti e innanzitutto grazie per esservi collegati a questo webinar. Io, come diceva anche Alfonso, sono cloud provider, mi occupo dei cloud provider in VMware e in particolare sono responsabile degli aggregatori e insieme ai aggregatori sviluppiamo parte dei cloud providers italiani. Oggi parleremo di un argomento che sta generando molto interesse. Spiegheremo come gestire le applicazioni moderne con la suite VMware Tanzu. E come alcuni di voi saprete, Tanzu non è un singolo prodotto, ma un insieme di soluzioni derivanti da tecnologie sviluppate in-house o ottenute tramite acquisizioni. E lo scopo di questa suite è consentire ai clienti di gestire l'intero ciclo di vita delle applicazioni cloud native. Quindi partendo dalla fase di sviluppo, passando attraverso la gestione dei cataloghi applicativi, fino ad arrivare alla messa in produzione e alle operations. In particolare parleremo della suite Tanzu per cloud providers, sia in modalità VCPP rental, sia attraverso il modello MSP, acronimo di Managed Service Provider, quindi il modello dei servizi gestiti di VMware. Io inizierò con una overview del modello MSP, su quali sono i benefici di questo modello per i service provider e come questo modello si differenzia da quello tradizionale VCPP rental. Subito dopo passeremo ad aspetti più tecnici con Andrea Sierra, che invece vi spiegherà come VMware può accompagnare le aziende nella loro trasformazione digitale con Tanzu, quali sono i benefici nell'adottare una soluzione come Tanzu, una overview al portfolio Tanzu e i casi d'uso. Quindi, dato che abbiamo tanti argomenti da trattare, io inizierei subito. La presentazione, come diceva anche Alfonso, verrà registrata e verranno condivise alla fine del webinar le slide. Quindi grazie e iniziamo subito. Andrea, can you please go to the next slide? Mi sentirete parlare un po' in italiano, un po' in inglese, perché allora io parlo italiano, non ho origini italiane, però parlo italiano, mentre Andrea è basata in Spagna, quindi farà la sua parte in inglese. I think we can start from the first slide, Andrea. Next one. Perfect. Allora, iniziamo subito con la differenza principale tra il modello rental e il modello MSP. Innanzitutto sia il modello rental che l'MSP fanno parte del programma Partner Connect e sono due route to market indirizzate a chi offre servizi verso terzi. Nel modello rental, VMware consegna le licenze al service provider che le installa nei propri data center e le rendiconta in base all'utilizzo mensile. VMware quindi si ferma a consegnare le licenze al service provider che ne fa il build dei servizi erogandoli verso il mercato. È il cosiddetto modello asset heavy per cloud builders. Invece nel modello MSP il service provider offre servizi a consumo in subscription mantenuti da VMware e erogati as a service. Il provider non è necessariamente un VCPP provider, può anche essere una nuova entità che non ha nessun contratto di tipo rental, che acquista però servizi cloud VMware e offre servizi gestiti on top che rivende ai propri clienti. Questo è il modello asset light per service provider che non hanno un data center o che vogliono fare investimenti ulteriori senza investire in infrastrutture. Possiamo quindi dire che la differenza principale tra i due modelli di erogazione consista nel luogo del data center. Nel modello rental il service provider acquista le licenze da VMware e le installa nei propri data center. Di contro, nel modello MSP i servizi sono erogati direttamente da VMware, quindi l'MSP acquista servizi cloud da VMware senza investire nei propri data center. Passando alla prossima slide, sì, thank you Andrea. Come abbiamo visto, il modello MSP racchiude quindi tutta l'offerta dei servizi SaaS VMware e la maggior parte di questi è disponibile tramite un portale chiamato Cloud Partner Navigator, che permette all'MSP di acquistare e gestire i servizi MSP da un'unica piattaforma, semplificando in questo modo la gestione dell'intero processo. Più nello specifico, 4 sono i soggetti coinvolti in questo modello. Abbiamo il cliente finale, come vedete anche proiettato sullo schermo, il provider dei servizi gestiti, ovvero l'MSP, l'aggregatore e VMware. Il cliente finale acquista i servizi SaaS dall'MSP e riceve supporto dall'MSP, quindi non ha nessun contatto diretto con VMware. L'MSP invece sigla un nuovo contratto con VMware attraverso un aggregatore di fiducia, ad esempio Sistematica, acquista i servizi cloud da VMware per poi rivenderli all'utente finale. E la particolarità è che l'MSP gestisce l'intera relazione col cliente finale, così come il supporto tecnico, anche il ciclo commerciale dell'intera soluzione, quindi anche rinnovi in modo diretto o upgrade del contratto. L'aggregatore svolge il ruolo di billing agent, quindi crea il contratto che poi viene firmato dall'MSP. A fronte di un commitment in consumi, l'MSP ha diritto ad uno sconto per i servizi cloud acquistati da VMware e alla fine del mese l'MSP riceverà una fattura consolidata dall'aggregatore per i servizi consumati e lo sconto contrattato verrà applicato a questi acquisti. Andrea, if you can please just go back the previous slide. Yeah. E infine abbiamo VMware che eroga i servizi SaaS all'MSP, fornisce supporto all'MSP ma non al cliente finale e fattura l'aggregatore per i servizi consumati dall'MSP. Muovendoci ai benefici, so yes, we can go to the next content. Per quanto riguarda invece i vantaggi, vi chiederete di un modello MSP per i provider di servizi. Innanzitutto avete un pacchetto di prodotti a disposizione pronti per l'uso e questo vi consente di accelerare il time to market, in quanto i servizi sono già pronti per essere venduti. In aggiunta l'MSP ha la gestione end-to-end del cliente e questo facilita la gestione dei clienti dal momento che l'MSP è l'interfaccia tra il cliente finale e VMware. È un modello molto flessibile perché permette di erogare servizi che altrimenti richiederebbero grandi investimenti in infrastruttura e ingegnerizzazione. E il tutto rende l'MSP particolarmente adatto ai casi di espansione geografica a nuovi mercati, perché andrete ad aumentare i punti di presenza nel mondo senza investire in infrastruttura. Infine, il billing è molto trasparente, questo vi garantisce un maggior controllo sui costi. Qui in questa slide vedete proiettata la nostra suite di tecnologie attuale MSP, divisa in 3 macro categorie. Quindi abbiamo la parte di runtime environments sulla sinistra, la parte di multi-cloud management and operations in verde e infine tutta quella suite di prodotti che chiamiamo Beyond Cloud. In particolare il focus di questo webinar è sulla suite Tanzu, quindi dopo questa introduzione diciamo ad alto livello lascerei la parola ad Andrea che approfondirà invece la tecnologia Tanzu. Grazie e Andrea, the floor is yours.
Many thanks, Christina. So I really like that Christina mentioned about the introduction on MSP, because I will mention technology that can be consumed on MSP. So that will give you an idea. When I mention the solution, you will remember what Christina mentioned in the previous slide. But now let's go dig in Tanzu, okay? Everybody now is talking about Tanzu. You will find a lot of partners interested in deploy Kubernetes. So let's go inside the products. So first of all, I would like to share with you a market overview where we are right now. So this is a study that showed that on 2025, more than 85% of the organization will start to use or will have containers in production. Okay, so at the end, the industry have understood that Kubernetes is the best option to orchestrate containers. And in some way, we as a partner and as an organization need to embrace the containers and microservices. Then we need to operate across multi-cloud, because at the end, we'll not only find that the containers or the Kubernetes will be deployed in the on-premise data center, it's going to also be implemented in the different environments or hyperscalers and so on. And also we need to orchestrate and to scale the Kubernetes in a successful way. There is a studio here, but also I put real data, internal data from what we have seen from our partners. So here you can see that the Kubernetes has increased use by 65% by implementing or deploying the Kubernetes in production. Having that in mind, we need to understand that containers and Kubernetes, it will be the new infrastructure, okay? And then it is something complex that we need to gain experience, that we need to train new teams. So at the end, there is a lack of experience for the deployment in Kubernetes. There is a lack of experience for the management. Then we need to focus on the security, on the compliance. So there is a lot of things around that. So for that reason, we try to make it simple with Tanzu and easy to use. In the next slide, I will show you some business value of the container. So for example, there is some metric here that you will find, like for example, code deployment frequency. Before was weekly, now after Kubernetes is daily. Time from coming to deploy to production was 7 days, and after Kubernetes is daily. The time to repair the security patch after Kubernetes is 15 minutes, and so on. So there is a lot of business value that we need to keep in mind when we are talking about containers. And then at the end, cloud providers, it will be the best destination for developers and as well for the operator teams, okay? Give the flexibility to the partner, also to the end customer to deploy the Kubernetes in the environment that they would like to deploy it, that can be in, sorry, that okay, that can be in the different environments as AWS, Azure, Google, or maybe in the cloud provider environment. Because at the end, we need to give the flexibility to the partner to deploy the container, taking advantage from the different benefits on the hyperscalers or their environment they like. Or maybe they would like to deploy the container in a private environment, but in the other hand, they would like to deploy database application in Amazon because Amazon is good on that. So giving this flexibility to deploy it everywhere, but in the same time, give that control and management around the different environments. Having in mind that you as a provider can offer Kubernetes as a service, meaning that you can offer, if you are using Big Cloud Director, Kubernetes as a multi-tenancy solution. Because at the same way that you are facing the Kubernetes challenge, the customer will do that. So here on VMware, what we deliver to the customer is to deploy in an easy way, to manage in an easy way, and develop the code in an easy way, because at the end, what we're gonna achieve is easy to use the Kubernetes. So the next slide, I will talk about, and I will go deep in VMware Tanzu overview. Keep in mind that Tanzu is a big portfolio of products, so I will try to make it simple. The next slide explains the three areas that we are managing between Tanzu, that is build, run, and manage. So we have three key product areas of the portfolio. So let's take a look on the build area, is where you can access a modern supply chain and framework for developing and deliver your best software faster and more quick and frequently. Then we have the run area. The run area includes a foundation for the modern infrastructure. That's mean Kubernetes everywhere and is aligned with vSphere. Offering is capable with any cloud platform. So at the end, you can run your Kubernetes in your vSphere environment across the different vCenter cluster, but as well, you can do it in the different cloud platform. And then if we have deployed these Kubernetes around the different platform, we have to be able to manage, okay? So for that reason, we have the managed areas that include product to operate, your modern application in the clouds or in the cluster that the application is running. So these are the three key areas. Now on the next one, this is the Tanzu portfolio. I understand that can be overwhelming to you, but this is the products that we are offering to each area. Okay, so here, if we take a look in the run area is the basic one where you can start to embrace Tanzu, and it's called VMware Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. Okay, that is the Kubernetes runtime. You will hear on the Tanzu Kubernetes Grids that's coming two flavors, TKGS and TKGM. TKGM is for this one that are looking to deploy it in a multi-cloud environment or are looking to offer Kubernetes as a service. Then we have deployed this Tanzu Kubernetes that can be on the Cloud Foundation, that can be on the on-premise or VMC, public clouds, etc. We need to be able to manage that Kubernetes. With Tanzu Mission Control, that is a platform for managing cluster across the multiple vCenters and the multiple clouds. Then we have the Tanzu Observability. I don't know if you are familiar with virtualized operation. That is the monitoring solution that we had for infrastructure and so on. Well, I would like to have this, the similarity of that we found on virtualized operation with Tanzu Observability, because it's like the same thing, but it's virtualized with steroids. So you can not only monitor an application, you can also get the statistics from the app itself. So for example, if we have an application that is integrated with Elasticsearch, you can see the number of queries, how long they take, and so on. Then we have the Tanzu service mesh that manage and push the networking policy, keep them up to date, enforce the image policy. Then we have the Tanzu application catalog that is based pretty much of the same on the Vietnamese acquisition, but you can build your own safe image. And then if you are having or you are providing Kubernetes as a service, you can offer this image to your tenant. Then we have Tanzu build service that is when a pipeline runs, it's going to look for the image inside of the application catalog. And then finally, we have Tanzu service mesh that is a set of demanding caching, messaging, and database tools used by developers. So how all these products, how we bundle inside of the cloud provider program. Currently, if you take a look on the product user guide, you will find 3 editions: the Tanzu Basic, Tanzu Standard, and Tanzu Advanced. So what we did in the past is, depending on the needs, we group that different products on different editions. So Tanzu Basic is, as the word says, is the basic, is what do you need to start using Tanzu and Kubernetes to deploy the Kubernetes in the different environments. Then Tanzu Standard help you to deploy Kubernetes in a multi-cloud fashion way, and then you can manage the different Kubernetes depending on which is the environment. And then Tanzu Advanced has like a lot of tools for developers, operation team that help you to build the application from the scratch, to develop the code, and so on. So this is the present, and this is what you're gonna find in the product usage guide. But you are the same partners that are developing the news, because we're gonna have some change in the program. We're gonna update the portfolio. So on March of November, you will see the new book. Because from the day one, we are continually trying to simplify the portfolio. In 2020, what we did, as I mentioned before, we work around 3 editions. We introduced basic, standard, and advanced. Maybe most of you already know the aggregator is working with this kind of edition. But what we see, because we learn a lot from a customer, is these packaging are not exactly meeting the needs from our target personas or budget centers. So at the end, Tanzu Standard was considered to be too less. Customers that buy Tanzu Standard often need to buy a few other things. And then in the other hand, we have Tanzu Advanced that is too much, because it involves the capability from operator team and developers team. So based on that learnings, we made some change in the portfolio. We introduced Tanzu Kubernetes operation. We also introduced Tanzu Application Platform. Tanzu Application Platform is already available for you, and you can see it on the book. We are split it depending on the needs of the different teams. So for example, Tanzu Application Platform is more focused for developers. that they are looking to run to develop the code. And then Tanzu operator is for operator teams. So at the end, Tanzu Advanced will be end of availability. Tanzu Basic as well. Now is going to be called Tanzu Standard Runtime. That is going to include AKGS and TKGM, as I mentioned before. Then we're going to have Tanzu Standard and Tanzu Kubernetes operation. And then in the other hand, we're going to have Tanzu Application Platform. I just want to mention that because I am explaining the portfolio, but if you take a look in the incoming weeks, you will see something different. So have this in mind. So let's take a look on Tanzu Kubernetes operation. And your operation with Tanzu for Kubernetes operation, your operation team is going to have a global control of the state of the Kubernetes. You will be able to manage the policy across the different Tanzu Kubernetes, or if it's deployed on the Amazon or Azure Kubernetes service. So the different Kubernetes, you will be able to manage the different policy between that. And also you will be able to provision and manage the life cycle of your Tanzu Kubernetes quiz across the different public clouds and VMware. So we are having two things here. The ability to manage the policy doesn't matter where your Kubernetes or where your Kubernetes is based on, and then you can create policy in your Kubernetes, Tanzu Kubernetes grids. If it doesn't matter if deployed on the public cloud or in the vSphere. Also, you will be able to connect and protect your modern application and data at runtime. Then you will have the visibility to manage the data across all the Kubernetes distribution and clouds. And you will have like a control plane to fully manage your cluster and application across the different clouds. And this one is more focused for the Tanzu Kubernetes operation, as the word says, for operator team. And then Tanzu Application Platform is more focused on the developers team. So this really makes easy to develop the code and have the application quick in the production. So at the end, why we did this is because the developers cares about the productivity. It's not only regarding the code they are writing, the developers wants to build new features and make the products better. So with Tanzu Application Platform, the developers can work in a familiar tooling and have the right security and compliance that will enable the code to be written and get to production faster. Also, they will get access to the API, the data centers and environment to develop and to try or test their code, and automation for building and deploying containers. And if you want to know how it's bundled in the different edition that we mentioned before, so for example, Tanzu Build Service and Cloud Native Runtime is available on Tanzu Application Platform. Tanzu Application Platform is available now in the book. You can order, you can set a contract with that. And then what we're gonna have for Tanzu Kubernetes operation, of course, we're gonna have Tanzu Standard Runtime to deploy the Tanzu Kubernetes grid. We're gonna have the Tanzu Mission Control, the advanced version, to manage the different and create policy. Same with Tanzu Observability, Tanzu Observability, that is to help to monitor the application and the statistics. Then we're gonna have Tanzu Service Mesh. If you remember, this is to create networking policies. NSX AVI load balancer, that is so important to having when we are talking about deploying Kubernetes, that is our load balancer solution. And then this will be additional, VMware Spring Runtime, Tanzu SQL, application catalog. This will be something additional. It will not be included in the Tanzu application platform or Tanzu Kubernetes operation, but depending on your need, you can buy it separately. And it's available in the book. Okay, so keep in mind the only change that you will see is that Tanzu Basic will change in some way the name, being Tanzu Standard Runtime. And then we are not going to have any more Tanzu Advanced because we divide Tanzu Advanced in Tanzu Application Platform for developers team and Tanzu Operation for operator team. So, any questions so far? Okay, I was reading the chat. It's in Italian, so I don't understand.
Yeah, no questions so far, Andrea.
Okay, great. So let's take a look on the VMware Tanzu edition, the use case, because it will be easy for you to understand what we can do on each edition. In the Tanzu Basic, that will be named as Tanzu Standard. So Tanzu Basic enables customers to run Kubernetes in vSphere, and especially if they are already in VMware. So this could be an advantage from your partners and from your end customer. If they are already using vSphere, they can use Tanzu Basic. They can deploy TKGS or TKGM, depending on their need in a vSphere environment. They already know how the technology works. It's in an easy way to deploy it. They can provide governance around the Kubernetes infrastructure with an existing tool, and they can provide developers self-service to access to the resource. Tanzu Basic comes in two flavors, TKGM and TKGS. Tanzu Basic is only for vSphere environments. Okay, the difference between TKGS and TKGM, TKGS can be only be deployed for single tenant, and TKGM is if you want to deliver Kubernetes as a service. So having a multi-tenant environment, but always based in vSphere environment. What happens if you would like to have it in a multi environment and in not only on vSphere? Tanzu Standard is for you. So for those who want to run Kubernetes on other clouds outside of vSphere, we have the Tanzu Standard Edition. And this provides a consistent Kubernetes distribution. So at the end, the customer or the partner can run their application at clouds, wherever is on-premise, if it's public cloud, or if it's the edge. And also, we include the availability to manage these Kubernetes with a Tanzu Mission Control. So Tanzu Standard includes Tanzu Kubernetes grids in vSphere, but also includes Kubernetes outside vSphere. And then, of course, you will have Tanzu Mission Control. Tanzu Mission Control is the platform to manage these Kubernetes. So this is the difference between Tanzu Standard Runtime, that is only to run Kubernetes in vSphere, and Tanzu Standard. And then we're going to take a look on Tanzu Mission Control. Tanzu Mission Control is a centralized management platform to operate and secure the Kubernetes infrastructure and the modern application across any teams and any cloud. So what we're gonna achieve with Tanzu Mission Control is help the partners to manage the Kubernetes across the multiple clouds, across the multiple cluster and multiple teams. So on the next slide, you will have a better idea what can be done with Tanzu mission control. So you will manage the life cycle and the configuration. You can control and identify the access. You also will have the security compliance and audit, the data protection, with backup and restore the data resource in the cluster. You also will have the policy management. So rated and manually dealing with many aspects of managing the Kubernetes, because I understand it's too much. You can create policies to to manage your Kubernetes, your cluster, your namespace, and workloads in a simple way. So this is what can be done with Tanzu mission control. And then let's take a look on how we can monetize Tanzu with the capabilities. So what we advise to the partners is that they can start to offering cluster as a service to attract the developer workloads. So they can start to using Tanzu standard runtime, also Tanzu basic and Tanzu standard to start deploying Kubernetes. As I mentioned before, taking the advantage that they already know vSphere technology, and then can extend them to a multi-cloud environment, and they can manage that with Tanzu mission control and the monitoring tools with observability, and ensure that the service is secure and the communication between the service with Tanzu service mesh. Then if this will be on the infrastructure level, but then they can take advantage and offer to developers the tools to build cloud native application with the application catalog that I have mentioned before, and offer managed service like disaster recovery, storage, governance for the production containers workload. So at the end, what we're gonna achieve in your site is meet the customer need, because at the end the customer are challenged to manage the growing volume of software and the security vulnerabilities, and start to modernize the application across the multiple clouds. What is the pricing? Tanzu Basic / Tanzu Standard Runtime. It is available in your FlexCore bundle. It is for free. Okay, so if you want to start or deploy a Kubernetes today, you can do it because it is included in the core bundle. And as you know, the core bundle it is based on VRAM, but as well can be pricing in VCF. Now, if you are using VCF, we are included the standard version in VCF. So by default, the standard version is offered by free in the vCloud Foundation. Then for Tanzu mission control, Tanzu mission control is included in the standard, okay? But if you remember in the beginner, Christina mentioned about MSP. And why we have added MSP? Because Tanzu mission control can be ordered separately through MSP. So if you are not using any version, Tanzu Basic / Tanzu Standard Runtime, or you are not using Tanzu Standard, you can buy Tanzu mission control through MSP. It is the same way that the other service on MSP works. Is for one core and is 300 1-year subscription required. So needs a commit contract for that. Here, if you already are a partner using Renta, you can benefit from the discounts. Here explain what is the kind of discount for Renta, how much is it, and so no. And then the final slide, if you want to learn more about Tanzu, I have put inside the learning tools that you can request on that or train yourself. There is a cool hands-on lab in VMware where you can provision TKGS or TKGM in your VMware environment. It's like a demo for you, but everything that you need to manage by your own. And as I mentioned before, I want to make clear about that. If you now take a look on the book, on the product usage guide, you will find the oldest version, and in November, you will find the new way that we are bundling the products in application platform, Tanzu operation, Tanzu standard, and standard runtime. So that was everything from my side. Now we are open to questions. If something wasn't not clear, if you need that Cristina translates something to Italian, I don't have problem with that.
Thank you, Andrea. Quindi se avete domande non esitare, diciamo, a inserirle dentro nel Q&A e poi con l'aiuto di Cristina eventualmente verranno tradotte ad Andrea. Non vedo domande. Cristina, tu vedi domande?
No, io non vedo domande. In ogni caso la presentazione è stata registrata, quindi condivideremo con voi sia la registrazione sia le slide, e per qualsiasi domanda possiamo organizzare anche un follow-up, una call one-on-one, se volete approfondire qualsiasi aspetto sia commerciale o anche tecnico.
Corretto. Allora io direi di chiudere il nostro webinar, poi per approfondimenti possiamo sentirci in separata sede. Grazie a tutti, grazie Andrea, thank you Andrea, e grazie Cristina e Samantha per la regia. Grazie a tutti.
Grazie.
Grazie.